Hey everyone, today I'm making a video for you guys. I'm riding this cool little thing right here, and I'm going to explain why it is the perfect beginner bike out there. And that goes for anybody. If it's not in the title or I didn't put it in the description, this is a 2006 Yamaha Virago 250, and I have been loving this thing for the past couple weeks. So let me go ahead and explain to you why I think this is the perfect beginner bike. I guess I'll start with the fit of the bike, because that's one of the most important things in a beginner. You know, they don't have much power, you know, and they're not heavy, so you shouldn't really worry about that stuff as much as how comfortable do you feel on the bike. So let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about that. It's not much to it, but you know, if you're a taller guy, you might be like, well, I don't want to get a 250 because that's a smaller bike. I'm going to feel cramped up on it. And that's a valid reason to say that. Trust me, if you're on a bike that's meant for a person that's 5 foot tall and you're 6 foot tall, it's going to feel ridiculous, and you're not going to ride that bike too long because you're going to get cramped up. Well, I am 6'1", maybe 6'2", around there. And I'm not saying I'm taller than I am, because I am trying to help you guys get a good bike. But yeah, about 6'1" or 2. And I am also on the heavier side of things. I'm 230 pounds. So with that information, I actually feel great on this bike. I don't feel cramped whatsoever. I think it's a great fit for somebody that's a taller person or even a smaller person. It's perfect for those people. So my arms, my legs, my back, my butt, they all feel fine. They don't feel cramped, and they're not getting numb. Now, I haven't rode this bike for hours on end, you know, one time, but I've rode it for about 45 minutes, and I can tell you right now, I could have done that a lot longer, and I would have felt great. So, you know, if you're worried about the size of the bike being too small for you, don't worry about it. It's not. It's going to be a great fit. So there's the size. The next thing I'll talk about is the specs, because everybody likes to compare specs. You know, some people have that need for speed. They're like, I want the most power, I want the lightest bike. Which, like I said, it doesn't really matter for these. You know, these aren't going to be that fast. It's something to learn how to control a bike and how to trust a bike, you know. But anyways, for the people out there that want to know is the power and stuff, well, if you're comparing it to the Suzuki GZ250 and the Honda Rebel 250, the same years as this, because that's what I'm going to compare it to, this actually has the most horsepower and torque out of the two. So it's the most powerful out of the two. Not only that, this is actually the lightest out of those two bikes. So you got the most power and you got the lightest one of the bunch. So for you guys out there that have that need for speed, or you know, you want to beat your friend on their 250, this one will do it, you know. So yeah, most power, lightest out of the three, and you know, being the lightest, that is very important. I'll get to why. But also what's very cool about this bike is those other two I just talked about, those are parallel twins, and there's nothing wrong at all with the parallel twin. That's a great motor. I've had a parallel twin bike, and you know, no complaints. They're pretty bulletproof. They you know, even power all the way around. Well, this one isn't a parallel twin. This one is actually pretty unique. This is a V-twin 250, and usually you don't hear V-twin and 250 in the same sentence. Well, you just did. So I think only the Virago and the V-Star do that as far as a beginner bike that I know of. But yeah, there's not much others that do that, you know. So yeah, very cool. It's probably why it has a bit more power than the other ones, you know. But anyways, so that's kind of the specs. I guess some other specs is, like, you know, it's carbureted and it's air cooled, so it's also a simple bike, you know, which is great. But I'm gonna go ahead and talk about, you know, what do I like about this bike, which I've already said one, but I'll go ahead and, you know, dive further into that. So what do I like about this perfect beginner bike? I like that this is a V-twin 250, and you know, the reason I like that is because, well, plenty of people out there, when they start out, they obviously want a bigger bike, you know, and plenty of those people, what do they want? They want a Harley Davidson, or maybe they just want a big V-twin, Japanese or American, they don't care, but they want a V-twin cruiser. Perfectly reasonable, and there's a lot of people that do want them. So, you know what's so cool about this? Well, guess what? You already got a V-twin. You're basically there. You just need a bigger motor. So, this is a really cool bike, and I think it influences a lot of the American people, especially, to want to buy this bike. And I think that's a good job of doing it, you know. I'm sure you can put a set of pipes on this, and it'll sound pretty sweet. So, yeah, I like that it's a V-twin motor. I also like how this bike looks. Now, most cruiser bikes look the same. You're going to have that teardrop tank. You're going to, you know, teardrop tank, front and rear fender, you know, just a classic style. You got these handlebars, and yeah, it's a cruiser bike. That's how it's going to look. But this one actually looks, I might be talking a little loud. This one actually looks really good. So I like that a lot. You know, I have this bike in my garage, so I look at it plenty. I'll stare at it for a couple minutes. I'll be like, you know, that actually is a great looking bike. So there's definitely that. I like the look of it. I like that it's lightweight, and the reason I like that is not because of getting anywhere faster, because I mean, honestly, you're not going anywhere that fast with this thing, but it makes it very easy for a beginner to control, and that is so important. I cannot stress that enough. If you have a bike that's 200 pounds heavier, you're gonna have a bit of trouble, you know, if you just started out. You're gonna have a bit of trouble with this, honestly, because you just started out. So the fact that this is a light bike, you know, 300 pounds, like I said, that is gonna help you out so much in the beginning. If you by chance get a bigger bike and you still have this one around, after a couple months of riding that bigger bike, I want you to go back on this, and you're gonna realize this thing is so easy to turn, you know. So I like that a lot, because that helps the beginners out, and you know, for people that aren't beginners, they can have easy fun because they can just swoop this thing around. Yeah, so I like that. Like I said, I like the look, I like the motor, I like that it's lightweight, and that it is a simpler bike. So those are the things I like about it. Now I got to talk about the things I don't like, and you know, every single bike usually has something you don't like about it, and it is what it is. It's not gonna stop you from buying the bike. So anyways, the things I don't like, and they're not really that big of a deal. They really aren't. If you don't plan on working the bike, actually there's only one thing I don't like about it then. But the biggest thing is the kickstand on this bike. So it's a automatic kickstand, so basically when you let the bike up and let the kickstand free from the ground, it's going to automatically go up on you. And well, it does build a good habit for a beginner, because instead of just assuming that the kickstand's down, you're going to go ahead and have to make sure, because your foot's going to have to be on it the whole time until it's on the ground. So nice. But yeah, I don't really like it. The reason being is that, you know, I have a lot of bikes, and I put them close together because I don't have a lot of space. So, you know, I have my bikes a couple inches away from each other when they're all, you know, I don't know, sitting down. It's not really the right way to say it. But anyways, yeah, I have them pretty close together. Well, it's kind of hard for me to, you know, make sure that this bike is as close as possible, because I have to, well, have my foot there the whole time to make sure the kickstand's down. So that's a bit of an inconvenience for me. Also, the bike this person is going to, because it isn't mine, I just fix it up to, you know, get them a better deal. But the bike this person is going to, they came over and they did a ride on it, you know, a session, because they're just learning, and I wanted to be there. So they did not drop this bike while riding it at all. They kept the bike up the whole time. They were doing great, especially for their first time riding. They were doing really good, turns and all that good stuff. But when I told them to put the bike down, because I wanted to, I don't know if I was showing them something new or trying to show them a tip on whatever I was teaching them, but Anyways, I had them, you know, put the bike down. Well, they had their foot on the kickstand the whole time, and they had it all the way forward, the kickstand, and was putting the bike down. Last second, foot slipped, kickstand came up. Guess what? The bike dropped. Now, they're not hurt or anything, which is the most important, but my point is, you know, if the kickstand wasn't automatic like that, it wouldn't have done that to them. It would have stayed up, or yeah, it would have stayed down, and they wouldn't have dropped the bike. So that's kind of why I don't like that. So enough of that rant. Took a couple of minutes to just talk about a freaking kickstand. Anyways, the next thing I really don't like about this bike is that while it is a simple bike, because it is, like I said, carbureted, air cooled, you know, not much to it. It also is a very tight fit bike if you're working on it. And the reason I say that is, like, on like a carbureted Harley, those V-twins, or plenty of Japanese V-twins, you have the carburetor on the side, the right side of you generally, and you know, to pull it off and put it back on is as easy as ever. And yeah, but on this one, the carburetor is on the top of the motor, so it's actually under the tank, like right there. And the issue with that is, well, you have two rubber boots that the carb goes in between, and you know, it's not soft rubber, they're pretty stiff. So what ends up happening is you're wrestling it to pull it out, and you're also wrestling it to put it back in. And what can happen, because it happened to me, is you can actually tear one of those rubber pieces, and then you'll have to buy it, which sucks. You tore apart, you have to buy it. So yeah, it's a bit tight fit. But you know, if you're not a mechanic, it doesn't matter, because you're not going to be working on it. So that's not a big deal. And it's not only the carbs. I'm not just ranting about those. Oh, I've already been here. But I'm not just ranting about the carbs. The coil packs are a bit of a tighter area where they are a little harder to get off. Just generally, it is a bit more tight fit, but this is normal for newer bikes, and it's not that big of a deal. It just means it's going to be a little harder, or take a little more time to get things off and put them back on, but that's that. You know, there's really not much to dislike about this bike. So anyways, I've talked about the fit of the bike, I've talked about the specs of the bike, talked about what I like and what I don't like, and I'll just do a quick overview of those things. So to start out, whether you're 5 feet tall or you're 6.5 feet tall, this bike should fit you no problem at all. Me myself, I'm about 6'2". My legs, my arms, my butt, my back, none of those feel cramped, and I've ridden it long enough to know if they would be. And guess what? They won't be. I'm a bit heavier set. I don't feel like this bike pulls me around whatsoever. So if you're on the larger side, it's okay too. That's fine. I also talked about the specs. Now, this bike, technically, out of the two bikes I compared it to, that's that Honda Rebel and that's that Suzuki GZ of the same years, this has the most power, whether it's horsepower or torque, and it's the lightest out of the three. So if you're like, I need that extra horsepower, I need that, you know, edge on my friends because they're getting beginner bikes, get this one, because you'll probably beat them, okay? What do I like about this bike? I like this bike a lot. I love this bike. Perfect beginner bike. But the things that stand out to me is that it's a V-twin 250. I think that's really cool, because plenty of people, they want a Harley or a cruiser bike with that V-twin power plant. Well, you already got a V-twin when you get this. You just need to, you know, get to a bigger one when you're ready. So I think that's really cool. I also think this is a great looking bike. It has that aesthetic to it for a cruiser style bike. It looks great. And there's not much you have to do. You know, you don't have to do anything to make it look good because it already does. I also like that it's so lightweight, because for a beginner it's very detrimental for them to have a bike that's as light as possible, because it makes it easier to maneuver that bike, you know, because anybody can ride in a straight line. That's not a big deal. But when it comes to U-turns, left turns, right turns, all that stuff, you need as much help as you can get when you're starting out. So I like that a lot. Very light, very easy to control. So yeah, a lot of things I like about this bike, but those are the ones that stand out to me. Things I don't like. I really don't like this kickstand. I went on a 2-minute rant at least about a freaking kickstand. That's how much I don't like it. So yeah, I don't like the kickstand. There's probably a fix for that. so don't worry about it too much. And then I don't like how everything is kind of close together. Now, it's an easier bike to work on because it's so simple, but getting those parts off and putting them back on could be a pain in the butt, no doubt. But yeah, that's basically everything I can say about this bike. I stand by it. This is the perfect beginner bike you can get, 100%. And you know, if you get one, let me know how it goes. You know, I hope you guys don't regret it. I really don't think you will regret it because like I said, this thing is great. So what I'm gonna do, I think, is I'm gonna stop right here. Nobody's behind me. I'm gonna, if I can, do a walk around of this bike real quick. I don't know where the GoPro's looking. I'll step back enough. But yeah, go ahead, just walk around the bike. I don't know what I'm capturing, honestly. But no, it's a good looking bike. I love it, especially like this angle right here. Just great cruiser bike. You can take that little thing off the back and it'll look a little sportier. But yeah, look at that. Got the V-twin pipes, the chrome pipes. This thing is sweet. Anyways, yeah, that's my whole review of this bike. The only other thing I really have to say is whenever you start riding, make sure you're safe. Make sure you wear gear. You know, I know there's plenty of people out there that don't wear helmets. Well, guess what? There's plenty of people out there that don't wear helmets that have died because they didn't wear a helmet, okay? Don't forget about that. You're not going to see them on the road because they're dead, okay? So, wear your helmet. At least wear helmet, gloves, and jeans at a minimum, okay? I don't wear a jacket that much unless it's cold, and that's because the jackets are very stiff, and being comfortable is a big part of it. But wear your helmet, okay? Be safe. Another thing, you know, just don't be stupid. You know, you're learning how to ride. Don't try to be risky. Don't try to cut through traffic. You know, all that good stuff. So, anyways, now that I've parented you guys a bit, I believe I'm good. So, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to end the video, and I'm going to end it by saying this. I appreciate you guys watching if you made it to the end. If you get this bike, I hope it goes good for you. So, stay safe and all that good stuff, you know, everything like that. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, even though I'm still going. Yeah, have fun whenever you get a bike, okay?